Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Talk Scottish Football Podcast. We're on to episode 5 now. I'm Ryan Fitzsimons, joined alongside my good friend David Buick. How are you, my man?
I'm good, yeah. My man, that's very American.
I know.
I cringed as you said that.
I know, I shouldn't have said that. That's a great start to the show.
I hope you get stick for that.
Oh, well, it was nice this podcast lasted. So he's all later. But we're back.
It is episode 5, and I hope I get this right, because I made a bit of a nightmare on Twitter.
I know, sack the admin.
I know, I was finding out that it was episode 3, it was actually episode 4.
And then did you not make another mistake as well somewhere? I don't know.
I'd said that Hearts would beat Rangers on Saturday, and it was actually Sunday.
So Sunday, that was it. I remember seeing somebody pull you up about that as well.
Hopeless.
Just keep in mind when you're firing abuse over for that kind of stuff.
I'm not used to this. You're used to being in the limelight.
It's David that handles it.
Yeah.
You need to get the fame.
Oh, way to chuck me under the bus. Like
I'm joking. Oh, leave him alone. He's new to it. But Scottish football is, rolling on. Midweek games last night and the night before, and then we've got all weekend games. We're going to speak about it all in this episode of the podcast. And where do we begin?
Start with the Cup then, I suppose. Part of Tuesday. So we recorded last Tuesday morning just before the Cup games. Hibs against Dundee United. We said when we originally did the round preview that was going to be the tie of the round, and we got 10 goals over the 2 games.
Fantastic,
unbelievable.
A great advert for Scottish football.
I saw bits of the game. I just kind of switched it on, and within a minute of having it switched on, Lawrence Shanklin scored an absolute screamer.
It was you obviously notified me to go. I was at work, and I was gutted because I really did want to watch it. I watched the first leg. I was dying to watch the second leg, as we spoke about. It was going to obviously be another exciting game, and Shanklin's goal once again. He's those critics were saying, can he do it at the top level?
No, absolutely.
I mean, there you go. Granted, Marciano should probably be doing a bit better.
It's a nice height for him, but it's just so powerful. There's not much he can do. I know,
it's some strike, and he's once again answering the questions of being Scotland's striker, never mind anything else.
I was watching it, and I was watching it on this stream, and I screen recorded the video of the goal and put it on Twitter. And for the next 2 days, I've just had Dundee United fans on my Twitter mentions just salivating.
That's fun, isn't it?
Yeah, and loads of Stoke fans as well. I didn't realise he was actually Stoke fans thought they were going to get him until I had hundreds of Stoke fans.
I guess that's a conversation that can spur on from this, because there's so many destinations he could potentially
it sounds like he's going to stay. Although, I mean, the only way I can see him going now is after last night's Jermaine Defoe injury. Rangers might put in a bid, maybe. I don't know. I don't see him leaving now. I think if it was going to happen, it probably would have happened by now.
But on the other side, in that cup game, and we'll probably talk a bit more about the game, we did, I think both of us predicted Hibs to go through. They'll be happy. Jack Ross, after going down, to come back and win the game.
That Doidge guy.
I mean,
wow,
player. We're talking about strikers. We can't just ignore the fact that Doidge just went and scored a hat-trick.
Yeah, I mean, I said on Twitter was it Wednesday morning, I remember at the start of the season, maybe 2 months at his time at Hibs, he was written off by everyone in the media.
I remember
he was a laughing stock.
I remember
Christian Doidge.
I used to sit there and say to myself, he can hit a barn door.
Yeah, and I think he scored 2 hat-tricks now this season.
And I don't know what the turning point is. I don't know what's been that switch for him.
Sort of it was about November time he started to get some goals, and then he's kicked on to being one of the 4 players in the country just now.
Maybe the appointment of Jack Ross has just kind of gave him the kick up the backside he needed. I don't know what was happening before that was stopping him from scoring goals, but now we're seeing a terrific player.
Yeah, and I mean, he was the difference in the tie. I mean, it was a cracking game. It looked like it went 3-2 to Hibs, and you thought, oh, maybe Dundee United are going to nick one. Could it go to extra time? They chucked sort of everyone forward and ended up getting done. Goals from corners, they conceded a couple of goals from corners, which will concern Robbie Nielsen, but Doidge was just clinical, and he's turning into being a reliable goal scorer.
I was going to say Nielsen will probably be disappointed at the fact he conceded 4 goals and that, but when you get a player on form like Doidge was that game, there's not much you can do.
No,
I mean, I don't feel like Dundee United should look into the game too much and think. I know there's going to be a lot of people saying, are they good enough to compete with their teams?
I mean, they're going to improve in the summer anyway.
Exactly, so. I think they will. I think a 4-2 defeat. It might sound, Banpey conceded 4 goals against one of the top sides, but they gave the
especially in a cup tie when you're down, you've got to kind of give it a go. That leaves yourself more open in the second half.
It's a completely different game in the cup as well. I think league games, it's a lot more. I think it's a lot more conservative and such. In the cup, you kind of want to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, a league game last night, if United had got a point, they'd been delighted. Whereas with a cup game, you've got to go and try and win it.
It's on one way or the other. You're in,
the only thing that will be disappointing for the United fans is, with the way their season's going now, it looks like they're going to cruise to the league title. So a cup run would have been a bit of excitement for the second half of the season, whereas now it's going to be just kind of waiting for the finishing line.
Tannadice will be a wee bit flat until the last couple of weeks.
It seems like they're going to win it a good month or so in advance.
Absolute ease.
Although in saying that, the torture they've had in the Championship, they'll be absolutely delighted.
I know how long
actually.
is that? That's 4 years now, is it? They've been doing
Yeah,
there.
it feels like forever.
I know it feels it's mental, and touched on this with people before. It's good that we are getting one of the traditional top sides back in the league, and that's why I hope Hearts stay up, because if Hearts went down, it'd feel like 1 in 1 out situation. So it'll be good if we can get Hearts, Hibs, Dundee United, Aberdeen all in the league. It really does boost the reputation of the league, and by all accounts it's good for fans of every team, because I know for a fact Celtic fans love the trips away to Tannadice and such, and I'm sure Rangers fans will be dying to go back to Tannadice.
Yeah, I mean it's just a freshness as well, isn't it? It'll make the top 6 more interesting, because ultimately long term that's where United are going to head, is towards the top 6, you'd have imagined. So.
And that performance I think does, and I think the 2 performances, they went to Easter Road and they gave them a good shout. At Tannadice they held them off to the draw. I think these 2 performances, when you look at it over the scheme of the 180 minutes, this is a team who's ready to come up. And
Absolutely. And Hibs now BSC Glasgow in the next round for them, so that'll be interesting.
Well, you'd be thinking that Hibs should be.
It's another glamour of the Glamour Cup tie.
I know, you never know. I mean, that's what I'm saying. You'd
think
Hibs are guaranteed to be through after playing them, but who knows?
Yeah, I've seen stranger things happen. Also, Tuesday night, Falkirk beat Arbroath. I think, did we both back Falkirk as well?
We both back Falkirk.
We're on form this week.
Exactly.
A good win for Falkirk. They're kind of flying. I think McManus scored again. He's been, I think it's 19th of the season.
Fantastic.
He's up to now. Which, when I saw him at Dunfermline, I never thought he was going to turn into a prolific goal scorer. He was never that type of striker. So,
would you take him back at Dunfermline now?
No, mate, no one's better than Big Kev. Like,
what if Kev goes though?
He's not going anywhere.
I don't want to bring that up to you.
No,
I don't want to upset you in the show.
We'll get to Big Kev later on.
But Falkirk going through. Who have they got in the next round?
Hearts. Yeah.
So I mean,
live on the telly as well. I think that's. So, I mean, it'll be interesting, because you've got a form team in the lower leagues against a team who've struggled this season in the top league, so that always makes for an interesting dynamic.
I guess we just need to wait and see over the next few weeks how Hearts kind of build on the win.
I mean, it totally depends what Hearts team turn up, doesn't it? I mean, if the Hearts team on Sunday turns up, they're going to go through. But
well, that was the Scottish Cup, that.
Yeah, I mean, that was that.
I mean, how long is it? We need to wait to the next round now. When is it played?
8th of February, I think.
8th of February, no, that long away. Because we have Clyde this Saturday. I believe so, early Saturday.
That'll be an exciting weekend. So on to last night's action.
Yes.
What we'll start with? We'll start with you then. You were at McDermott Park last night.
I was just about there. I nearly missed the start of the game. Got in and what a first half performance from Neil Lennon's side.
Yeah.
Honestly, probably the best first half of football I've seen all season.
Yeah, and it was. I mean, it could have been 7-0 at half time, and then when they go in at 3, you're thinking this is going to be 6 or 7.
I mean, by all means, the conditions were not fantastic.
Well, that's the thing. Everyone was talking about the pitch-free match, but Celtic's football wouldn't have suggested there was anything wrong with it.
That's exactly what I was going to come and touch on. I was saying, by all means, conditions weren't fantastic, but didn't hold us back. No, I think at points in the game, especially look at the build-up to the first and the third goal specifically. It was some beautiful football. I think Edouard and Griffiths, they looked fantastic. They looked so natural players.
I mean, the thing about Griffiths last night is the first 2 games he played, the Thistle game and the Killie game, he got a goal, but you could still tell he wasn't quite at it. There was still. Whereas last night, I thought he looked really sharp. His link-up play and everything.
I think it was
lovely goal.
It was in the game, and I think it wasn't even just with Edouard. The way that Griffiths was kind of in and out the game with other players around him, and Cham and Brown, and there was just these wee passes, wee flicks here and there that showed that his head was right in it. He was ready to score. You could see I knew for a fact he was going to score.
Yeah.
In the first opening, 10-20 minutes of play, I was like, Griffiths is going to get himself a goal today.
It was weird because yesterday was threatening to be a really difficult day for Celtic with all the Ncham stuff during the day, and then there was rumours that there was
apparently
he was
Ncham's
very unsettled
and talks with West Ham, but then he's playing and he gets a goal in the first
and
10 minutes
he says
of the game.
Post-match he's happy at Celtic and wants to stay. So
that's fantastic. I mean, it left me with my face because I was making a video.
I know, I was thinking that. Forrest as well. Back in a bit of form now.
It's good that he got a goal.
Assist at the weekend, goal and assist last night.
It's good that he got the goal because honestly, within the first 20 minutes of the game, despite how well we're playing, you could still hear the frustrations towards Forrest. There was bits of the game where people weren't happy with.
He put the cross in for Ncham. It was a brilliant cross.
It was a brilliant cross, but he was still getting that, and then he scored, and it just kind of silenced it all. And I think people did sit down and realise that he's actually having a good game here.
Yeah.
I feel like Forrest is one of those players. He's always going to be a kind of an easy sort of you can nitpick just. The slightest of errors, and it's going to annoy.
He's a Celtic dad's sweetheart, but then the young ones tend to just think, get Shved on.
I mean, Shved's still missing. And then obviously as well, Edouard did start the game despite the fitness issues that were spoke about. Surprised, but Kamara did come on. He did replace Edouard finally in the game.
The one thing I want to talk about from this game was Neil Lennon just bamboozles me as a manager. I don't understand so much.
So we spoke about it last week.
But like last night was mental. if Edouard's carrying a knock, you're 3-0 up at half time. Get him off.
Aye, that's
why are you risking him?
I didn't expect him to start the second half, but what we spoke about how good the first half performance was. What we didn't speak about was how flat the second half performance was.
It was dreadful.
It was terrible, and I don't understand what was happening because we made the change. We brought off Jozo Simunovic and we brought on Moritz Bauer, and we changed to what looks to be a kind of 4-3. And this is how I'm going to word it: do whatever you want up front. There was no sort of one minute Edouard's in the middle, then he's out left. Then Forrest is on the right, then he's on the left. Then Griffiths is floating around the middle of the park somewhere. I didn't quite know what was happening. So for me, I don't know why he just didn't get Edouard off straight away in the second half. And it was surprising.
Especially if he's carrying an injury. If he wasn't fit at the start of the weekend, I don't get it. He's your best player. If he gets injured, you're in a you're struggling.
We've got big games coming up, and Edouard's staying in the pitch longer than Griffiths, which
again is absolutely baffling because you've got one striker who needs game time and needs sharpness, and you've got one striker who's played loads of games and has been carrying knocks, and you keep him on.
Aye. And Neil Lennon also in the new, and this is obviously, I'm not turning into a slight Neil Lennon show, but Neil Lennon yesterday carried a little bit of controversy you could see around have you seen the Mikey Johnson stuff?
Thing. Yep. Right, so here's what I was confused, because when I was kind of watching 3 games at the same time last night, so I was watching the Celtic game. Johnson went down injured. I didn't see what happened, but it looked like he was dizzy. It looked like he was just out of the...
Honestly, I could not, and I was there at the game, and I was watching it with my own eyes, and I was still so baffled of what was happening. I couldn't tell what was happening.
Edouard was about to come off, and Lennon was holding it to see if Johnson was okay. Johnson gives a thumbs up, then 10 minutes later he's off anyway.
Off again.
And Lennon's just raging.
But like, what I'm sitting at the other end from when it's all happening, and when Johnson's down and people are saying to him, they take him off the park, and I just see the St Johnson fans hurling abuse at the referee and Johnson to get him off the park and all the rest of it, but I'm still sitting there baffled to why he's down. I didn't understand what was happening.
And then Lennon was absolutely raging with him. So.
And I've heard before in the past that Johnson might not hold the greatest of relationships with Lennon.
Well, I mean, after he went to walk onto the bench last night and was very much told where to go.
Totally was. I mean, and we don't want to repeat what Lennon was.
No, it's a family show.
Seen saying, yep. But I mean, you've seen it yourself probably on Twitter. Do you think Lennon was a wee bit out of order there?
I can understand his frustrations, but I don't think he should be letting him out.
We know the character of Neil Lennon.
Yeah, I mean, he can be absolutely raging, but I don't think he should be doing that, especially in front of TV cameras. That's just ridiculous. Especially when there's been rumours all week about how there's slight unrest in the camp, maybe with the Encham stuff. All that's going to do is increase people's criticism of him and speculation that it's not a happy camp.
I guess the victory kind of will overshadow it a bit because Celtic fans aren't going to. It would have been if we went there last night.
If that game finished 1 each, that would be front page.
You imagine the meltdown if that happens. Celtic drop points, Rangers win. Neil Lennon would be under scrutiny from fans.
Yeah. Anyway, that's enough for Celtic. We're going to briefly touch on St Johnstone because I thought first half they were absolutely atrocious. I think Ali McCoy said on BT they were appalling, and he wasn't far from that.
It was some of the worst defending I've seen in my life.
And it's been their problem all season. There was a game against St Mirren they had, I think it was before the winter break, and like 3 goals they conceded from crosses, just people not picking up their men, schoolboy stuff. I will give them a bit of credit though, because second half they can take some positives from that, because for all Celtic were poor, it wasn't like Celtic had the ball in their half and just didn't create. A lot of the game was played in Celtic's half in that second half.
I think St Johnstone done a terrific job at shutting us out. They
had a few openings as well. Like it wasn't
Tommy, but there was Celtic in the second half as well made so many errors. And St Johnstone, to be fair to them, capitalised on it. They might have not got goals, but they certainly did try. But Tommy Wright, there was only one thing he could do at half time, and that was do not go out there and embarrass yourself. You can only imagine, because the way they performed in the first half wasn't even championship quality.
No, it was horrendous.
It was absolutely shocking. And I can only imagine St Johnstone, by all means, I feel like they are a club that if they had a plastic park they'd be in the same conversation as Hamilton and such. But if you are one of the St Johnstone fans sitting there, you would be humiliated by that first half performance.
Yeah, especially when you've got 3 stands of your own ground being taken up by the opposition.
And I wonder, do you think that comes in? We talk about how more
I don't think it would have made a difference. The only difference it makes is that it makes St Johnstone more money.
That's what I was going to say. We get I never had the chance to speak to any St Johnstone fans or anything about it, but you get that conversation of where you balance between making your club money and then sort of alienating your. I mean,
that extra income last night could be the difference between St Johnstone getting a player in the next 2 days.
And you think about that over the course of 4 potential games against Celtic and Rangers.
It's an absolute no-brainer for me. I mean, if Celtic would have had 2 stands anyway, they're still going to have more fans than St Johnstone, so that argument's irrelevant.
Because St Johnstone didn't even sell at the stand they had.
And if exactly, and if you put Tommy Wright said before the game, if St Johnstone were doing well last night, the atmosphere amongst their fans would have been better because they're all in the same stand instead of spread out along the ground.
I know.
So, I understood the idea, and I thought, I don't think it made any difference.
I think it's a real hats off to them for actually standing and doing it, because there's other teams around the league that should probably follow the philosophy.
I mean, well, Livingston do it, but then that's just, their stands are empty anyway. So.
Aye, I mean, they struggle.
Yeah.
But Celtic St Johnstone.
Right. Rangers. I was
You were
watching,
lucky enough to see more than me.
I was watching both of these games last night. I was more interested in the Rangers game actually because it looked for large parts like Ross County. Their game plan was to sit in, frustrate Rangers, and then counter. And there was a few opportunities where they threatened to break out. Never really came to much. Rangers first half were pretty poor, if I'm honest with you. It was a typical Jermaine Defoe performance. Did absolutely knack all apart from the goal.
Well, that's what he does, isn't it?
That's why he's in the squad.
He does what he does best. At the end of the day, striker's job, get your goals. And he got his, and it was a lovely take it as
cracking
well.
Finish, yeah.
He done well, and that's the quality that Defoe brings. But I suppose on the backside of that, you're talking about now Defoe being injured.
Yeah, and it wasn't just the goal. He got a lovely assist last night. Did you see Arfield's goal? A lovely assist.
That was a lovely goal as well.
And Arfield and Defoe seem to have got a wee link-up going whenever they play together. I think that might be down just to, I don't know, they played at the highest level. Them
yeah,
two,
both of them have
kind
played in the Premier
wavelength.
League. The quality players.
But yeah, I mean,
take away from.
Defoe going down, you could tell immediately it was the hamstring. I think it was a hamstring. It looked like it was a hamstring anyway.
Well, it just, the ball's coming over his
yeah,
head.
he's running in and he just stops, and pulls up.
That's him on the floor and stretchered off the park.
It doesn't look like a good one because he was stretchered off, and so if it's a toe and hamstring, you're thinking 6 weeks maybe.
Yeah, and Gerrard now needs to think about bringing in a striker.
Well, I think he said.
Shanklin, but
yeah, I think he said that they were hopeful they might do a bit of business. It was either him or Gary McAllister. That's it, McAllister. I said that really weird. Gary McAllister, who'd said they were going to get someone in or look to get someone in.
Mm-hmm.
Morelos isn't fit either really yet because I mean when Defoe went off, they brought in Aribo. They left Morelos warming up for a good 10 minutes to make sure, absolutely sure he didn't pick up it, and he's got a calf injury as well. So
I thought it was groin originally.
So Rangers, it's going to be a difficult decision.
I know they went into the game last night, and fair play to Rangers. They walk away with a 2-0 win. They keep a clean sheet. They're sustaining some form of pressure on Celtic. But they went into that game without Tav, without Jack, and without Morelos.
You just called him Tav. He's like a Rangers fan.
I know, that's horrible.
You calling him nicknames? Look at that.
Do you know why the reason?
Good job this isn't going out on your channel.
Do you know why the reason I call him Tav is because you can't win with him? Because on YouTube I call him Tavernier and they'll say no, it's Tavernier, and then you call him Tavernier and then you get the one that's called Tavernier. His name changes every 3 weeks. So I've just kind of accepted I call him Tav.
They did look a bit better last night in that sense. The boy Polster played right back and he looks to be a better option than Flanagan, especially going forward. So
it's so weird because I feel like at the start of the season there was so many people who liked John Flanagan.
I mean, he's a solid defender, but he's
another player who's obviously played at the highest levels. But I mean, probably
not. He almost won the Premier League. People forget that. He was in that Liverpool team.
Part of that team. But Rangers, as I said, without those 3 players, you're thinking to yourself, Ross County can pose some sort of threat. But they got the job
and they looked to counter a few times, but they never really created an awful lot. I mean, they competed. It wasn't like it was an absolute domination by Rangers by any stretch of the imagination. So, yeah, I mean, Rangers, they got the job done. That's all that matters. The Defoe thing's interesting because you're potentially going to have one striker for 6 weeks, maybe less, maybe more. We don't know yet. You're then hoping Morelos doesn't get suspended, doesn't get injured. Because if he does, they're in a bit trouble.
That's what I was about to say. You've got a player there who has got a potential chance of both, because we know as much as he has, and I will not take away from the fact that Morelos' attitude on the park has changed big time. He's not as fiery. He doesn't get high as much, but there is that chance he'll get a suspension. Carrying this knock, there is a chance he could aggravate it.
Yeah, I mean, he was fit enough to be involved last night, but it was evident they didn't want to play him unless they absolutely had to. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. And
there was something I was going to quickly say about Morelos. And
the thing is, if they do go in for a striker, they've got to get someone who's
that's
it's worthwhile getting them. So he's got to be someone who can go into the team and not be like, say they could end up playing like Aribo as a number 9. Mm-hmm. So they've got to find someone who's better than that, but then good enough who's going to come to then potentially be third choice striker.
But you've got to be able to balance the happiness of the squad as well. The point I was going to bring up, correct me if I'm wrong, Rangers haven't made any signings in January. Is that right? No any first team signings anyway. I can't think of any off my head that's been announced.
No, I don't think so. My God, I hope we're right about that.
I think we are right. And now, I think Gerrard was accepting of the
Yeah,
fact
he
that
was happy with the squad. I know that much. I mean, there's been talk in the past few weeks that Barker and Jones could be on the way out, which the Barker one, yeah, I can understand. The Jordan Jones one
I
is
don't
mental
get,
to me.
I don't get that.
Because Gerrard was talking up about how excited he was to have him back and all this carry on, and
I don't
fans
see
seem to
Jones.
rate
I
him,
don't
so.
see Jones leaving. I think he's had a decent enough showing of himself when he's been given the opportunity. I don't think he's been by any means bad.
I mean, he's another one who's played international football in Northern Ireland as well. I mean, he's it's not like he's just a. I mean, with Barker, it doesn't look like he's going to be.
I don't feel like Barker's of quality to play for Rangers.
No, I don't
right
think
now.
so either.
Despite how good he showed himself at Hibs.
I mean, until the end product, he's very good, but he's no end product. So.
And that's probably the most important thing at Rangers.
But yeah, the next couple of days it'll be interesting to see the news that comes out of Ibrox, whether it's to do with if the Defoe's injury isn't as bad as first suspected, then they might be okay. But otherwise, they might make a move.
Well, they still have their game in hand. We still have no idea when that's getting played, do we?
Who's the game in hand against?
I believe it's St Johnstone.
Right, okay.
It's maybe St Johnstone
So
at
it's 5 points, is it?
It's meant to be, yeah, but it's 5 points just now. They're meant to play St Johnstone at Ibrox some point. But there's no. This is a conversation we had last night. There's no place between now and the end of the split where they can play that game.
Yeah, it's not just in the Premiership this is happening. There's loads of games. They're obviously just. I don't know. It's going to get chucked in midweek somewhere, but then there's no midweek spaces left unless they go out of Europe.
Mm-hmm. And I don't see them going out to Braga.
No, you wouldn't have thought so.
I guess that's a conversation for when I get closer
Yeah,
to the time.
yeah, of course. So, but I mean, it's the same in the Championship. There's games that need rearranged, or just no one has a clue when they're getting played yet. So
the table remains the same. Celtic sit at the top.
Yeah.
But where do we go on from here? Where do you want to take this?
I think we've just done a bit of Premiership stuff. So, do you want to spice it up a little bit and start with the Championship?
We'll start with the Championship
because the first game of the weekend is on Friday night.
Friday night we have
at Firhill.
That's
Firhill for Thrills.
Is that on BBC?
It is on the BBC. Yes.
I am looking forward to watching
that.
that.
Was it 17:05? Yeah, 19:05 kickoff.
19:05. Yep, that's the one. Partick, who needs a win, but Ayr, I mean, they're on great form at the minute.
Ayr are flying. I mean, I've had the pleasure of watching them. I've watched the last 3 games actually. I don't think about it.
I feel kind of jealous at you for being at those games.
Yeah,
because it's a team I would die to go and watch.
Yeah, they're really good to watch. Mark Kerr's, I've raved about him in this podcast already. He's found a formula now there where they know exactly what they're doing. His post-match press conference last week was class because he came out and said that, he's obviously a player manager, and he said that he feels more calm and relaxed when he's playing than when he does on the touchline, because he said when we're on the park we know what we're doing. So that was, and he said that the way that they've got his team playing there is like the way he plays. They think about what they're doing, and he's got young players around him. Like, so Stephen Kelly's a perfect example, known from Rangers, scored at the weekend. And they've really hit form. So I can't see. The thing is with Thistle, you never know what Thistle team's going to turn up, because they occasionally come up with a big result and you think, all right, they're back.
This is the point I was going to come on. Partick Thistle this season, they're saving grace under Ian McCall. The thing that's probably kept
their saving grace is that it is Ian McCall.
That itself. But their away form has been the thing that's kept them.
Yeah.
At home, they've got a serious problem.
Yeah.
At Firhill, they have been tremendously bad.
Yeah. I mean,
and I don't know how Partick Thistle fans can go in with a hope against a team like Ayr this weekend, considering that form. They need something, but
we've spoken about how on paper their squad looks really good, especially with what they've done in January, but I mean, they've done absolutely nothing to show that they're going to they're really going to improve. Last week they got beat up at Arbroath pretty comfortably. They were pretty terrible by all accounts.
I know, that's the thing. Like, when there was a Partick Thistle fan that I was listening to, and he said, the only thing that we've had going away this year is our away form, and that seems to be going out the window now.
Yeah, and the thing is, last week the pressure went right back on because Alaba went and won at Queen's. So, it's again, the whole league is fascinating, but Thistle at home, I just think it's not at the stage yet, but it's going to come to the point where they just absolutely have to win games.
And that starts, now.
Especially at home. I mean, on paper, their squad compared to Ayr squad, they should be at least at home hoping for a point. At the very least.
If you said to anybody, and you showed them the teams, and you said, who's the team in the bottom? Like, I don't think Ayer's a squad that should be at the bottom. If you want to say what one's at the bottom and what one's challenging to make the playoffs, it's the other way about.
Yeah, you'd have thought so.
You look at Partick, who have now brought in Leo Connors, Zach, we spoke about it, McKinnon, everybody has been brought in, building on the players they already have.
Yeah. That
is a team that should be up there, and it's baffling to me how things have went so badly for them this season.
It'll be an interesting watch. I fancy Ayr just because I think they're just too good for Thistle, to be honest with you.
Well, that's that game. I mean, we'll move on to the Saturday games and start off with the team at top versus bottom again, but both of us just touching on it. Well, you yourself touching on Alloa. Inverness Alloa this weekend up north.
Yeah, Inverness, John Robertson was raging last week with his performance down at Ayr. I can't see anything else other than Inverness bouncing back. The thing is with Alloa, they have got potential to spring a big result, but they don't tend to go on like runs of winning games, especially away from home. You know,
I say it does when you look down on the results in the table. It seems like Alloa, one of those teams, they get a good win.
As soon as you think they're doomed, they pop up with a big win,
and then it goes in a run of, oh god, they're going down, and then bang, big win again.
But I mean, the thing is, for Alloa, if they hear that Thistle get beaten Friday night and they go up to Inverness, I mean that's essentially a free hit for them, because they wouldn't have expected to win up there, but knowing that you could potentially go 3 clear, I think they're currently joint on points with Thistle.
Have a quick look. I mean, you look at it, 2
points ahead.
Yep, 2 points between
So I mean,
them.
they could. I mean, it's not, if Alloa go up there and even take a point, they can go 3 clear of Thistle. I mean,
because I don't want to say anything's a done deal between Inverness, Partick, Ayr, and all 4 teams involved. But if you do think about Ayr going up to, or going down to, or up, well, they're going up, aren't they, because they're down there. If they go up to Firhill and they do beat them, which you would expect, sadly, for Partick, then Alloa do still have breathing room there.
Thing is, I said it. Alloa have been in good form. I just can't see it continuing, especially going up to Inverness, who need a reaction after last week. I'd fancy Inverness, if I'm honest with you.
No, that's that. I mean, I think for myself, I'd fancy them too.
Yeah.
You want to move on here?
Where are we going next? We'll leave the best till last. So we've got Capello next. We've got a Greenock Morton against Dundee.
Not much here. I mean, it's not.
James McPake's desperate for any sort of.
It's not the most enticing game of the weekend.
No.
But as you've already said, Dundee could do with something.
They desperately need something.
I say something. I win.
The thing is, Morton have since Christmas have picked up a little bit. So they'll be fancying themselves, especially at home. The home record has actually been their saving grace a bit this season, because their away record for the majority of the season has been dreadful. At home they've been decent. I couldn't even call that game, because Dundee, I mean, I saw them last weekend and they were woeful, so I really don't know. I mean, it's similar to the Thistle. The squad is so much better than the results, so I have absolutely no idea what.
Seems to be a story around the whole country this season. I think like squads and results have just
Hearts,
not matched
Thistle,
up.
Dundee,
and that's the beauty of Scottish football. I suppose you never know what you're going to get. But Dundee, I think the case for them is, they're still in it's a similar story with Dunfermline. You don't know what way it's going to go. If you're going to be in the playoff, you're going to be down. You don't know. Dundee with a win here would probably solidify themselves as potential playoff
again, depending what happens at Palmerston.
And we always talk about this. There's still a long way to go.
Oh, of course. We're only just into February as of this weekend. So
when is it the championship season? Before playoffs ends, before the Premiership.
Yeah, it's like the end of April, or maybe the first weekend of May. I can't really remember.
So we'll get there quicker. I mean, if you look at the table just now, with 10 teams in the league, we've played 22 games all round basically, and it's what is that?
36
games.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've got a little bit to go. And
14, 15 games left. So
I mean, Dunfermline, but even down the necks of Dundee.
Yeah, I mean, I hope so. I said I would leave the best till last, so we'll leave Dundee United till last. Yeah, I may or may not be going to this game yet. I don't know. I really hope I can get down for it.
And once again, the story goes on. Does the bad form come back, or do you continue on?
I don't know. I mean, I said this on Tuesday. It's mental how quickly things change.
I know. It's because before I met you, obviously, Dunfermline is a team that I didn't really keep up with. Didn't hear much about. You look
apart from Celtic fans crying about them lying down to Rangers back in the day, and Chris Sutton
crying about that. Well, they did.
Right, okay.
We're going to get into that now. Right, we're changing the whole podcast.
We'll do a separate podcast on that.
But Dunfermline obviously want to build on that win.
Yeah, I mean, we go down to Queens, who obviously had a defeat at home to Alloa last week. Our record in the Queen of the South is pretty poor. We've just signed the new boy Afolabi.
Afolabi. Do you think he'll get a run out at the weekend?
Yeah, I'd have thought so. I mean, I don't see why you'd bring him in and not play him. So, yeah, I mean, he looks like a big fella up front. Nisbet needs that.
That's what I was about to say. I'm calling it right here. Him and Nisbet are going to be a wee dream duo.
Yeah, it's going
to be. If not, I'm sorry. I'm not taking any returns.
I hope so. Yeah, if Dunfermline win this, they are really going to be looking towards trying to climb towards the playoffs again. The only thing is for the Pars is that after this weekend we don't play again until the 22nd of February.
Really?
We don't have a game because we were supposed to play Inverness,
and then
who are in the cup, and then the weekend after we could have had the Inverness game rearranged for that weekend, but they're in the Challenge Cup final, So we don't have a game
Jesus.
for 22nd after
Who
us.
is in the Challenge Cup final Inverness?
And I couldn't tell you. Who cares?
Here we are. This is us. Talk Scottish football. We love Scottish football.
I mean, the only thing I care about that competition is if like Dunfermline get a team down in England again or away Ireland for an away day.
Wrexham or something like that.
We had Boreham Wood last year and it was amazing. It was the highlight of our season.
That would be great.
I
wish that's why it's never going to happen, right? And just a quick side note, just about these wee stories you throw in. It's a podcast. We're here to talk conversation anyway. I wish, and it's just impossible now because of the chaos, but I miss Celtic going down to England this summer. You know, obviously after the controversies against Brentford and then Sunderland.
Did you go to the Sunderland one?
No, funny story. What was happening that day? We got our tickets. We were going to go, and my pal Kieran was meant to come back for Benidorm that day, and we were going to get him for Glasgow Airport and go right down. It's like got delayed.
Tell you what, that's some that's some flashback to reality. If you're coming home from Benidorm and your first thing you experience is Sunderland.
I know exactly.
That's pretty grim.
And it's not gonna. I just wish somebody would invite us down for a testimonial or something.
It's not happening.
I don't know. It's not going to. Not a chance. It's too much.
So yeah, I mean, in that game, I am 100% back on the positive Dunfermline hype train. The Pars are going to win 3-0 with a Kevin Nisbet hat trick.
Oh, you're throwing in your prediction already.
Come at me.
Do you know what? I do feel. I say it every week. They're my cooking team now. Dunfermline, they shouldn't be. But
you're winning nothing this season, like.
But aye, Dunfermline going away to Queen South, tough game, and then we finish off. We finish off with Dundee United
against Arbroath.
And we've spoken about this before. Arbroath, not an easy team to beat. Set up well defensively. Dundee United, who struggled last week.
Drew last weekend, lost midweek. They're due a win, surely.
They're due a win, but Arbroath will be thinking to themselves.
Maybe a wee bit of complacency slip in.
I don't think though Arbroath have got the attacking qualities to go up to Tannadice and get it done.
And it's not even just that. You got to keep Shankland out, and that's no.
I mean, and as I know I already touched on Arbroath being hard to beat defensively. I think it's just one of those ones. Dundee United will be that desperate for a win. They've just got too much. I think it'll be blood and thunder.
Yeah, Lawrence Shankland at the double. I think for me.
I think hat trick for me.
Oh well. Hat trick's galore in the Championship this weekend. Right, let's bounce back to the Premiership since we've done it the wrong way round this week.
Do you know what? It's nice though. It's nice to change
things up.
The
Championship's the best league in Scotland anyway. I don't care what anyone says.
See, to be fair, this season it's given the Premiership.
Actually, it's not even just the Premiership. League One's been class as well.
We've got a great league going on. Great leagues going on this season. Up the top flight though, we start off, I suppose, with what looks to be. We'll start. We'll get the Gump funds out the way first. Kilmarnock, Ross County. I mean, it's not going to be great, is it?
Two teams struggling.
Yeah. I mean, Kelly in desperate need of a win. 7 straight league losses.
Yeah.
This is massive for Alex Dyer.
I think they've only scored 2 league goals in that time as well.
And Ross County, I mean,
who are also in poor form, and they got knocked at the Cup of Air. Fair enough, they had Celtic and Rangers, but it's another 2 defeats there.
Both teams here just really, it's got draw written all over it for me.
Yeah, I mean, the team that loses this, I think, are going to be really, really in danger of going down this year.
They've got a danger of definitely being in one of those bottom 2 positions. I couldn't agree more with you.
I mean, I actually think that Ross County have probably got a bit more about them in terms of character. And
Ross County definitely look like the more entertaining team at the minute. They look like they actually offer something and they want something.
Yeah.
Kelly just look depleted.
We said it on Tuesday for Alex Dyer, who was there under Steve Clark when Kelly were flying. They look like a complete, like none of the players played in that team. How you couldn't imagine it now.
The mentality just seems to be gone.
It's the thing is with Kelly, where are the goals coming from just now? Because Brophy's not scoring. Chris Burke seems to be the only real highlight for them just now.
And he's 75-year-old.
Yeah.
So I mean that just says everything. But no, for me it's got, I think, draw written all over it. And just judging by how Ross County managed to take some positives away from Ibrox last night, I could see Kilmarnock. I say draw written over it, but if it was to swing one way, I could see Kilmarnock in for an 8 straight loss.
The only thing about Kelly being bad is that Gordon Sawers on Twitter and Facebook is just hilarious.
That's brilliant. I'm happy to have that back, because for 2 years under Steve Clark we didn't really get anything.
No, it was great under like Lee Clark when he was there, and who else was the Kelly manager? They had some right shockers. Lee McCulloch, Big Chig was there. So at least there's some positives to take from Kelly's downfall. That game, Kelly at home, yikes. I mean, if they can't beat Ross County at home, where's the next winning coming from? I
found out an interesting fact last night. I'll quickly answer your question. Don't know where it's coming from. Not a clue. I just realised
it's your question. I wouldn't worry about it.
I found out quite an interesting fact last night. Kilmarnock are the first team in Scotland to have a secondary school supporters club.
Aye.
They've
That
got
thing.
flags and everything. Yep, secondary school supporters club. They've got that's who's occupying the real seating over at Rugby Park.
I forgot they had that in now. Like,
I mean, it's not great.
I doubt it'll be bouncing.
And that's annoying me because now that's there, you'll probably never get 2 stats.
I tell you what, briefly for County, I'm going to mention this. Their supporters, wow, I mean, they've had Ayr away, they've had Celtic and Rangers in a week. And now they've got Killie away.
Fair play to all 40 of them.
I don't even think there was 40 at Ibrox last night.
I don't think it was 40 at Celtic Park
No.
last week either.
But it's just SFA, man. No
There's no
care or concern about any supporters.
There's no methodological, is that the word?
I don't even think. Is that even a word?
I don't know. Making
We'll
it up
go
now.
with it. We'll go
It's
with it.
fine now. But aye, that's that. We head over to, I suppose, St Johnstone Hearts, which actually could be quite a storytelling.
You said 2 weeks ago that was going to be a hopeless game, but now I'm actually kind of interested to see the way that goes.
Because St Johnstone obviously will want to try and show
I
something.
mean, they've picked up a little bit up until last night.
Aye, because last night the performance in the first half would have you thinking St Johnstone are, you could say doomed, but I mean, you can't read too much into a loss to Celtic. But Hearts, the story of this game is Hearts, can they follow up on that big win against Rangers?
I mean, bold prediction, I think Hearts are back now. I don't think Hearts. I think Hearts are fine now.
Fully back.
I do. I really do. I think we're that good.
We were talking about it last night.
That's such a bold prediction. I can't believe I've just made that.
On the way back from Perth yesterday, we kind of had a disagreement in the car. A couple of us said, I think that'll be them sorted. A couple said, no, not by a million. I think single-handedly that signing of Boyce alone changes their season completely.
I mean, they've had so many strikers this season, but none who've scored goals. They've had like Washington, Naismith, Ikpeazu. They just don't score goals, whereas Boyce will score goals.
Boyce will. He's proved that. He's proved that in every, apart from the season he was out.
It also takes pressure off Naismith as well. It'll bring the best out of him.
And being the captain, I think.
We saw that on Sunday. The two of them were
fantastic.
fantastic.
Linked up terrifically. I think Hearts will go here and get a win against St
I
Johnstone.
mean, they've also got Suter back alongside Halkett, who's been their best player this season.
Halkett is just a terrific player.
I mean, he's been their one positive throughout the season. So having Suter beside him, they're going to look to improve defensively. Sean Clare's going at right back. He's starting to look up a player for Hearts now. And potentially they might have a new goalkeeper in. Who knows?
I mean, they need one. I'm not a big fan of that Pereira.
Yeah,
I think he's.
We'll come back to Hearts goalkeeping issues in a minute or two. But I fancy Hearts, to be honest with you.
Livingston, Motherwell. I mean,
it's a cracker of a game.
That is a interesting one because obviously we're looking at 3rd place, 5th place. Livingston, who'll probably go into the game very defensive.
You're looking at a real chance of Motherwell extending the lead in 3rd as well, with Aberdeen having to go to high.
Exactly. And Motherwell will know. I mean, what is it? They could go 6 clear of Rangers or something.
7 clear. I think they're 4 clear just now, so they can go 7.
Right, 7 points clear
if they win. But then again, Livy at home will fancy themselves. And it's going to be a tough game.
As much as I'm saying Livingston might set up very defensively, which I see happening because Motherwell, as we know, are a team who like to go forward. They're a team who like to actually offer a bit of flair to the game. Maybe you could even say.
We said it on Tuesday. Livingston are so strong.
Livingston are strong at the back, but they are strong at hitting teams when they don't expect it.
Yeah. I mean, the boy Dykes up front is a threat. He has been all season. You saw that firsthand at Livingston when Celtic went there.
Can you please not remind me?
Still questions about whether Dykes can get capped for Scotland, which I find mental.
Is it Australian?
He's Australian, but I think he said he's open to play for both. But
play for both.
I think we're a struggle with strikers just now, but I still don't think. I don't think
that's the answer. I thought we can maybe look elsewhere for now. Motherwell, I think, will get through this game, despite how I think Livingston, for as good as they are and setting up to make these teams struggle, to make Celtic, to make Rangers struggle, I feel like when it comes to teams like Motherwell and Aberdeen, that's where they're a bit more complacent. They maybe go for it a bit too much and then leave themselves vulnerable. I think that's what happens against these teams.
You're back in Motherwell then?
I'm back in Motherwell.
I'm disagreeing. I'm going to go with Livy.
You going with Livy?
I'm going with Livy at home. I just think
I think Motherwell are flying. I think they're too good at the minute.
But then so Livy are flying too.
I know.
You're the one that's been bigging up Gary Holt something wrong in this podcast.
I know. I respect Gary Holt and I respect Livingston, but Motherwell have just been one step beyond. There's another funny quote. Everybody's going to be thinking I'm changed allegiances this episode, honestly. But no, I'm going Motherwell. I do honestly really respect everything Livingston does. I just think that there's got to be something in this game that just edges it towards Motherwell.
Fair play.
And honestly, I will continue. Next week I'll come on here and I'll back Livingston again. I'll say something good about it.
Right, off to Easter Road. Hibs at home to St Mirren. I can see the High Bees winning this one with a little bit of ease, to be honest with you.
I wouldn't say ease.
As well, I mean, it's what you said about Motherwell. Hibs are now getting into a real groove as well. So
Hibs are getting into a groove.
They got a good point at Motherwell last week.
I think St Mirren. I feel like I don't know. There's something about Jim Goodwin's side that I think are going to be a wee bit more resolute this weekend.
You're against one of the sides in the league who are probably at the moment one of the biggest attacking threats.
I know they scored 4 against Dundee United, obviously the other night.
When you think the two of the form players in the whole league just now are Boyle and Doidge. Boydge and Doyle.
Jesus. I do see Hibs winning. Yeah, I don't think it'll be with too much ease. I feel like, especially with the additions that St Mirren have made to the side, I think they're. I just think
they're going to struggle for goals. They're relying on Abika, and he's not a prolific goal scorer.
I could see it being a clean sheet for Hibs, 1 or 2-0. That's not a clean sheet for St Mirren. Hibs. What am I?
Right, I'm going to take over here. Right, I don't think there's anything else we need to cover in that game. We both fancy Hibs.
Mush.
Let's go to Ibrox.
This is. I never got home to about 1 in the morning last night.
I know, God. Right. Ibrox Rangers at home to Aberdeen, which traditionally you would think would be a cracking game, although in recent times Rangers have absolutely snotted Aberdeen at Ibrox. I want to talk a little bit about Derek McInnes. Tony Docherty, the assistant, came out this week, and did you hear what he said?
I have not actually.
It was a bit bizarre. He basically came out and almost had a go at people for criticising Derek McInnes and said that Derek McInnes' loyalty to the club should be rewarded, which I get in a sense, but when you're up against it as a management team, you don't come out and have a go at the supporters. That's the worst thing you can do.
That's the kind of stuff that gets the Wenger out banners at you.
Yeah, I mean, I saw it at Dunfermline when Alan Johnston was there. He came out after one game and went for the fans, and then like 2 weeks later he was gone. So you just don't do that.
Aye,
especially when with this weekend coming up. I think we're both probably going to back Rangers for a win.
Aye, there's no doubt in my mind.
I think all that press conference will do will add to the pressure.
At Pittodrie, you could maybe have the conversation. Maybe, just maybe have the conversation that Aberdeen could do something, maybe take something from the game. But even at that, I would still be backing Rangers if it was at Pittodrie.
Yeah.
I just think that Aberdeen are going to be sooner rather than later in one of those situations where they'll be having an overall crisis. I mean,
especially if Motherwell win.
Building on what you have told me here, obviously I think Aberdeen finishing top 4 isn't the worst sort of result. They'll be, obviously they want third. We spoke about that last week. The fans want third. They expect third. If they finish 4th, it's not the worst. But if you add in what you have just told me there, if you add in the fact that they have not been so competitive against the likes of Celtic and Rangers, and you add in the fact that they might not even see a cup final.
No,
it's a year for Aberdeen that fans can quite rightly be, I suppose.
Well, whether they can rightly be or not, they are going to be, and we've seen that already.
And I think the quite rightly only comes into it when you hear comments like that, because that is specifically asking for.
But I would argue that Aberdeen as a club have rewarded Derek McInnes for. I mean, they've given him contract after contract. He finished second a few times when Rangers were out the league, but he didn't finish second every time. Motherwell picked him at one point.
He actually finished second when Rangers were in the league as well.
So he did. Yeah, of course. So, right, I'll give you that.
Hands up there.
And they won one cup in that time. Won the League Cup. Was it League Cup?
Yep.
So for all that time out of the Rangers were out of the league, for Aberdeen to win just the one cup, I would say is probably a minimum expectation to win a cup in all that time. So. Yeah, McInnes has been a good servant for Aberdeen, but I don't think he's been to the extent that they should now be accepting poor performances because of what he's done in the past. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see the reaction after the weekend if they do get beat.
At the end of the day, the landscape of Scottish football since then has changed so much. I mean, in that space of time, this alone, the fact that Rangers are back in the league alone changes everything. That's changed everything at that time. And I guess Aberdeen, who... they need to kind of adapt to the game as well, and just keep McInnes there around the whole time isn't necessarily.
Sometimes you just need a bit of freshness.
Exactly.
Players need new faces, they need new training drills, they need new tactics.
And maybe that's what Aberdeen will be crying out for
by
the end of the season.
I think the first game at Ibrox this season was a 5-0 to Rangers, I think, between the two. So Morelos will be back from the start, you'd have thought, at the weekend. So
I think Morelos he won't see the whole 90.
I'd be surprised if he is still carrying that wee niggle. I'd be surprised if he saw the whole 90, but you'd imagine he'll definitely start.
Same sort of situation with Edouard. You think he'll see the whole 90 as we switch over now? We'll go over to New Douglas Park, Hamilton Celtic.
It'll be a similar game to last night, I think.
Do you think so?
Yes.
I think we've got to keep rolling with this 3-5-2 at the minute, and hopefully by this game the transfer window will be shut.
Yeah.
And I guess in the next podcast we could probably have a more confident, because we've went on quite a bit in this one already. I guess the next podcast we could probably have more of a kind of roundup of the window and talk about business being done now. Celtic fans are not happy. They are not happy with how the window has went.
No.
And I feel like Celtic need to make an addition before this game. I'm not on the side of complete unhappiness, but I can understand the frustrations.
Well, what Lennon said before the window, that he wanted how many players to improve the squad?
4 or 5 players
to improve the squad.
We brought in 2 players
who are there for development, I think.
Yep. I said for this game I want to keep us going with a 3-5-2. I'm liking what happens, because that is what we played in the first half last night, and it looked
But
good.
I think they should go that for the Old Firms as well, because they've tried one up front in the Old Firms and it's not worked.
But if we keep going with this 3-5-2, we need a centre half. We need one. Stojanovic, he's not.
Oh, is he not good enough? Are you going to say he's not good enough?
Not reliable.
Ooh.
He's not reliable. So if we go into this game 3-5-2, yes, it'd be great. But it'd be great if we could bring in someone even on loan for the next 6 months. Benkovic.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Benkovic would be the ideal.
Let's just slide that in. Lenny, hope you're listening. But I
think he was listening on Tuesday, because he chucked Greg Taylor in after we were talking about it.
And how good was he? We didn't even speak about that.
Yeah,
we never even touched on how it was brilliant. But Hamilton are going to have their backs against the wall, I can imagine. The whole game.
Defensively they've been pretty atrocious recently. Last week they conceded 4 to Livy. If Celtic start like they did last night, it's going to be 4 or 5.
Brian Rice, I think the pressure will keep piling on his side. This weekend, there's not much else to add. Have you got anything to add?
No,
so that's Premiership Gala. I guess we move briefly on to Leagues 1 and 2.
Yeah, we spoke about one game in League 1 on Tuesday, Airdrie against Wraith, which Airdrie at home. Wraith obviously top of the table, a point clear of Falkirk, 4 clear of Airdrie. This title race has been so tight all season. If Airdrie win, they go back to within a point of Wraith.
Yep. And
depending what Falkirk do, it could be 42, 41, 41.
Which is madness.
Yeah.
What a season it is down there.
Yeah.
Airdrie, I think they'll be really up for this at the weekend.
Yeah.
I think Wraith are going to struggle. Not struggle, because we know how good Wraith can be in this league.
I think it's impressive about Wraith this season is the young talents they've got. The boy Tate and the boy Bowie, 2 young lads who've come through the youth system in almost said Dunfermline, in Fife, and they've been scoring goals for fun. It's going to be a really interesting game. I don't really know. Airdrie home advantage maybe might play a difference.
That's why I think, spur them on a wee bit to put, because if they do lose this game, I'm not saying it's no hope's over. It's still.
It's a proper 6-pointer, because if Airdrie lose this,
because that's what I'm
they'll
saying.
end up
I
being
know once again we speak about
7 behind. So
how much there is left of the season, but you look at 7 points, and there's not only one team they have to worry about. There's 2 teams they have to worry about.
Yeah.
Which kind of, I would say, would maybe bury Airdrie's hopes of.
Promotion. Falkirk go to Stranraer, who are bottom of the league and really struggling. They're 6 points adrift at the bottom, albeit they have got a game in hand. But you'd expect Falkirk to go down there and win with the form they've been.
Not one in God knows how many now. So,
yeah.
I think the story of the weekend in League 1 is that game. What it does in that top 3.
There could be so many permutations of what could happen in League 1 this season. You could end up with Falkirk going 2 clear. You could end up with Wraith going 4 clear. You could end up with Airdrie going within a point atop. It's mental how close it is down there.
So who you think? Who you think for the game?
I fancy Wraith to go Airdrie and win.
Win.
I do. I think Falkirk will win as well.
Decent wee journey.
Yeah. Down to League 2. League 2, there's not an awful lot to talk about apart from Cove.
As we say every.
But every single week it's what are Cove doing?
I know, and that's it, because they have, as we've spoken about, they've got that much money behind them that you can't expect anything else.
The 5 clear now. Obviously, we mentioned Rory McAllister coming in. He'll be a big difference for them in terms of goals. They go to Albion Rovers at the weekend. Albion, who are struggling a little bit, could potentially get drawn into the sort of relegation playoff battle.
Albion Rovers are in the fortunate position where they still have a couple of games
left. That's their sort of fortunate position.
Because if they've got 3 games over the 22 that have been played for other teams, they could potentially find themselves up at 6th, 7th place in the table. So it's not panic stations yet down at Albion Rovers. Still some time to spare, but if you judge it on form and such, then
it's going to be Cove, I thought. Top 2 you'd imagine will both win. Edinburgh City go to host Stirling. That should be pretty straightforward for them, and I think it will be as you were in terms of the League 1 table come full time on Saturday.
So that's League 1 and League 2's highlights of the weekend.
That is the weekend previewed. One thing I wanted to quickly touch on was Craig Gordon. A
man who I love.
I absolutely love Craig Gordon too.
I adore Craig Gordon. There was honestly, I will throw my hands up in the air here, and I will take the slagging because I know Celtic fans will not agree with me in the slightest deal. Before Fraser Forster returned to Celtic this season, I honestly, if I was to pick my goalkeeper of the decade, it would have been Craig Gordon. I know that's controversial to probably not even Celtic fans. This was before Forster came back. Craig Gordon, I think, is one of the greatest players over the modern era of football our country's ever developed.
Well, I mean, the thing is with Craig Gordon is he could have been...
It was the injury.
Yeah, he could have been one of the best in the world.
Yep.
I think there was arguably a point where he was probably...
He was the best keeper in the Premier League when he went down there, I think. Well, up there.
Yeah, he was... I mean... Obviously, the likes of Van der Sar, checking it, but he was up there.
But he was up there.
The reason I love Craig Gordon is just his performances for Scotland. Back in when I first started really watching football and understanding what was going on, which some would tell you I still don't understand, but hey ho. Scotland's Euro 2008 campaign, Craig Gordon was in the nets. He was just amazing.
Aye. I mean, obviously, speaking about the Premier League, he made the save of the decade down there.
Yeah.
Incredible. There was obviously, if you take away maybe the top 4 side goalkeepers, he was easily up there for the best, I think.
And the thing is, in the Old Firm games when Rangers first got back and Celtic were hammering them, Craig Gordon made so many amazing saves in those games.
Craig Gordon, I think, when he came into Celtic, he was one of the reasons that Neil Lennon saw his time as over at Celtic. I believe the story was, Forster was gone. Lennon wasn't happy that the money that he was given was to get Gordon. It wasn't a massive fan of Gordon. That is what you were kind of led to believe. I don't understand why, but you take away Lennon leaves, Gordon goes on to be Celtic's number 1 for the next 4 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, for all Forster's been great. I don't think they needed to get him in the summer. I think Craig Gordon was good enough, and Bain was a good enough backup.
Yep.
I don't think it was a priority.
I don't think Celtic,
Forster's been fantastic.
Exactly. I don't think anybody's going to be upset about that.
But at the time, I don't think it was like a necessary.
Yep.
Like Scott Bain when he got in, was it last season he got in? Was the luckiest man in Glasgow.
Oh, I don't know how.
Scott Bain is not a great goalkeeper.
He's got butterfingers.
Yeah, I mean,
kind of catch a cold.
He was literally put in the goal because he could ping a decent pass.
I think Scott Bain.
He's a goalkeeper. You're supposed to use your hands.
I know. I think I agree with you completely. The modern goalkeeper argument is just I can speak.
Like I can get it if you're so good. Like if you look at Ederson and Allison, they are so good with their feet that it's a worthwhile attribute. But Scott Bain is nowhere near that level.
Fantastic goalkeepers.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, Bain, not so much. Bain, I think the only really standout performances for me was the first one, his debut, because he saved us from conceding even more when we won 3-2. And then the other one away from home in Valencia, I thought he was terrific that night.
Yeah.
And that night, I feel foolish because I left. It was just one of those ones you're on the kind of high of the moment because I was there, I was in Valencia, I was on the high of the moment. I was like, that's Scott Bain, put himself down, he's put his value up by a couple million quid. 2 weeks later, I'm sitting there going, why was I saying that? Why? Yeah. But Gordon, obviously, the talk is that Hearts are looking at him.
Yeah, I think Lennon came out either this morning or last night and said that he was a valuable member of the squad.
I think there's so much.
I think it's a great move for both for Hearts and Craig Gordon if it does go through.
The thing is, part of me wants to keep Gordon at Celtic because I respect him and I like him so much.
Yeah, is that just a sentimental thing though? Because for all we're slating Bain, he's probably still good enough to be backup.
Yep, the point I was going to say is I would love him to stay because of how much I love him, but for the good of his career, this is a move he should probably think about taking.
Oh yeah, I mean the boy Pereira at Hearts is hopeless.
And Gordon would be fantastic for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Despite not even playing football over the past.
Just someone who knows the club, knows the supporters, experienced leader, Why not?
It's a move that potentially could go in the next couple of days, but I see him staying at Celtic. I think we're now on the 30th, so it would have to be done pretty quickly. I don't know what his wage at Celtic would be. I mean, Hearts were hearing paying £6,000 for Boyce a week. Could they afford to bring Gordon in?
But Gordon's 37 now. I think he's probably made his money. I don't think he'd
I know,
be too
you
fussed.
surely would think Craig Gordon would go. Right,
he doesn't strike me as the type that's going to hold out for big money either.
He's a lovely guy as well.
Have you met him?
I've met him.
Oh, yeah.
I met him at season ticket waiting queue.
Oh, right,
Jeez,
okay.
they
was he there with Summer?
We knew we were getting frustrated.
Summer, what's her name? Summer Harrell.
Summer Harrell.
Yeah.
I got interviewed with her that day as well.
Does she still do Celtic TV?
No, she got sacked after going Gordon.
Really?
Aye. So, I mean, I don't know if we want to speak about his affairs on.
No, we'll just leave that there
on the podcast. But she seems happy. She's lovely as well. She interviewed me that day. I just remember on
what a way to end the podcast by talking about Craig Gordon's missus.
I know, her thick English accent. She turns to me and says, "So have you got permission to be here today?" I just looked at the camera.
What?
Because we were in our school uniforms. We belong to school. We go and get season tickets. And she's just asked me her thick English accent, and she said, "You got permission?" I just turned and say, No, I think I'm at the dentist. Right down the camera at Celtic TV.
Fantastic.
But that about does. I mean, we had a good show today. I enjoyed that.
Yeah. Just flew in.
I know. I didn't feel like we're speaking for 54 minutes.
No.
There's another number that Rangers fans will have. It's not
right, stop before it gets to 55. No, I'm joking. Yeah, that's it.
Anything else you want to throw in quickly?
No, we might have a wee bit of content for everyone at the weekend.
Yes, hopefully so.
As per usual, thanks for all the support so far. It's been class.
Yep. Nice to see people are recognising our videos.
Yeah.
We've been speaking about it. It was nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I suppose that about does it. You know, we've got all the socials on screen. Apple, Spotify should be soon. Links will be in the description.
So Apple is up and running. We'll have this one on Apple. Spotify.
Yep. We're still waiting on them.
Yeah, I don't know what
They'll
they're
take
playing
their time.
So if you've got an Apple device, you don't have to sit with YouTube open. You can listen to us anywhere,
On the
anytime.
go.
On the go.
treadmill.
On demand.
On the treadmill.
Yeah.
Aye. Well,
Anyway, that's it. Like, subscribe, all the rest of it. Thank you very much for listening. Goodbye.
Goodbye.